is a country in South America which has everything. On the coast, the Nazca lines. The mystery of Sipan. The beauty of Chan Chan. The mangroves of Tumbes. Its beaches and seafood. The Andean highlands with fascinating Machu Picchu. The imposing snow-capped mountains of the Gorge of Huaylas. The countryside of Cajamarca. Colorful Ayacucho. The handicrafts of Huancayo. Amazon forest with Tarapoto and its peaceful lagoons. Moyobamba and its innumerable waterfalls. Iquitos, sitting on the banks of the Amazon River. The Manu Natural Reserve in Madre de Dios. Lima, the capital, both colonial and modern. Visit Peru. We have it all.
Peru, an unforgettable adventure. Peru is situated on the central western coast of South America. Every day, planes fly in to its capital, Lima, from all over the world, and cruisers anchor in the neighboring port of Callao. Most international flights come to Lima's Jorge Chavez Airport. This is a modern building with first-class services and an attractive duty-free shop. The airport staff is trained to provide rapid and efficient service to make tourists feel right at home. Private transportation includes, by your agency, car and chauffeur, available exclusively both in Lima and the provinces. The regular service that includes guide, chauffeur, and bus is generally shared comfortably with other passengers. Lima was founded in 1535 and called the City of Kings. It has an excellent climate, and it never rains or snows. Temperatures fluctuating between 13 and 30 degrees centigrade. Lima has a great variety of hotels for all tastes and pockets, offering first-class services. A typical Peruvian custom is to welcome tourists with a delicious pisco sour, while the agent takes over the hotel registration. The following day, your clients can get to know the city accompanied by a bilingual guide who will take them around colonial Lima, where they can appreciate the architectural beauty of its squares, churches, and mansions. After this interesting tour throughout old Lima, they can enjoy a delicious lunch in a luxury restaurant on the beach or in a typical Criollo restaurant. When it comes to shopping, Lima has modern shopping malls as well as large and varied handicrafts markets. And in the evening, your clients can choose a delicious dinner, have fun in a casino, or visit the bohemian part of the city. After Lima, your clients may continue their trip to the north, where only an hour's flight or 8 hours by road, they will find the city of Trujillo, famous for its colonial balconies and for its typical dance, La Marinera. Clients having private service shall be welcomed just as in Lima and taken to a comfortable first-class hotel. A minimum stay of 2 nights will enable your clients, always accompanied by a bilingual guide, to visit the colonial city, the beautiful beaches of Huanchaco, and the fabulous fortress town of Chan Chan, famous for its labyrinth, passages, and great walls of adobe. After Trujillo, your clients can visit, just 30 minutes away by plane or 2 hours by road, the city that has one of the 2 most important archaeological discoveries in this century, Chiclayo, land of the Lord of Zipan. A one-night stay, at least, will give them time to know the city and visit the tomb of the Lord of Zipan, whose recent discovery has been compared to that of Tutankhamun in Egypt. Finally, a visit to the Bruning Museum will give the finishing touch to your stay in Chiclayo. Another interesting place north of Lima, and only 8 hours by bus, is the Callejón de Huaylas, a beautiful valley lying between the White and the Black Mountain Range. There, your clients will visit Huaraz, a city that has become the synonym for adventure. A minimum stay of 3 nights is recommended, and the best season for visiting this region is between April and November. They can also enjoy the beauty of its snow-covered peaks and lakes and visit the center of adventure, the Pastoruri Snow Peak, where every year in June, the International Endemism Week is celebrated. Finally, they can enjoy a trip to the Chavin de Huantar Temple, 3,000 years of antiquity. The South also offers a variety of tourist attractions, such as a famous wine-growing country around Ica, the city of wine and mystery. There are really three places to visit in the south, all of them 3 or 4 hours from Lima by car. Paracas, Ica, and Nazca. With a minimum stay of 2 nights and 3 days, your clients can visit all their attractions, combining lodging in comfortable resorts with first-class hotels. In Paracas, they will visit the National Reserve and take a trip out to the Ballestas Islands for a first-hand visit of various endangered species of seabirds and animals. Then, taking a small plane from Ica or by land from Paracas, your clients can visit the fabulous Nazca lines that today still astound scientists and students from all over the world. After leaving Ica, it is very interesting to visit Peru's second most important city, only 8 hours by bus from Nazca or 1 hour by plane from Lima. This is Arequipa, the White City. After registering in a pleasant first-class hotel, your clients can enjoy a delicious typical lunch. Then they will take the city tour accompanied by a bilingual guide. 2 days is a minimum to get to know Arequipa. Among the churches, one can visit the imposing cathedral as well as the monastery of Santa Catalina. On the outskirts of the city, there is interesting countryside, a farming and livestock zone. Furthermore, there are shopping trips where one can buy highly priced alpaca wool and leather items. But there are still 2 great marvels to visit. Titicaca, the world's highest navigable lake, and the sacred city of Machu Picchu. One can get to the city of Puno by train from Arequipa in 10 hours, or in 35 minutes by plane to Juliaca, and then an hour by road. From Lima, it takes an hour by plane. All roads eventually lead to the sacred lake of the Incas. It is advisable for your clients to spend at least 2 days in Puno. After settling in a luxury hotel, they should take coca tea, a herb tea that helps one get used to the altitude, and then rest for at least 1 hour before going out to visit the city and its pleasant surprises. To take a boat on Lake Titicaca is an unforgettable experience, with visits to the floating islands of the Uros, made of totora cane, and the island of Taquile, famous for the marketing of its colorful items of clothing. The next destination after Puno is 45 minutes by plane or 10 hours by train. Cusco, the archaeological capital of America. Arriving at Cusco International Airport gives a feeling of magic. Your clients should only enjoy the moment, leaving the rest to the agent and the chauffeur. Touring throughout the city, they will find a mixture of styles, both Incaic and Spanish together. Another attraction is the Inca ruins outside the city, such as the fabulous fortress of Sacsayhuaman. In the evening, one can enjoy various shows and dances and typical food. The visit to Machu Picchu will take a full day, leaving from Santa Ana Station in Cusco early in the morning to travel 3 hours in a comfortable train alongside the rushing Urubamba River through the very beautiful countryside of the sacred valley of the Incas. Another way to reach Machu Picchu is to take a bus to the town of Ollanta, and from there go on foot by the old Inca road, which takes 4 days. On foot or by train, the final reward will be the best of all, being in the most impressive, majestic, and enigmatic ruins in the world, the sacred city of the Incas. Once in Machu Picchu, your clients will enjoy a guided visit as well as a light lunch in a pleasant hotel built at the foot of the ruins. Until recently, Cusco was the final point of your trip to Peru. However, today, from Cusco, you can go on to a new point of interest, the Manu National Park, ecological paradise of the world. After a short flight from Cusco, you reach the village of Boca Manu, where you begin your fabulous 5-day excursions in the park, accompanied by an expert bilingual guide. Finally, your clients return to Lima, where they take their planes home. Up to the last moment, they will continue to enjoy the friendliness and good services they found upon their arrival, which will make them want to return again soon. In their next trip to Peru, your clients may visit Iquitos and the Amazon rainforest, Tumbes, nature, beaches and water sports, Cajamarca, the most Spanish and historical city, Puerto Maldonado, pristine jungle and exotic wildlife, Ayacucho, the city of the 33 churches. Because there's still a lot of Peru to know, the excitement, sports, contact with nature, a mysterious and captivating cosmopolitan and modern Peru. A Peru that today opens its doors to tourism with top quality service and the warm-hearted welcome of its people.
The department of Ayacucho, located in the southern Peruvian highlands, and its capital, the city of Huamanga, founded in 1540, lie just 35 minutes from Lima by plane and 8 hours over land. Ayacucho is a privileged spot, which is dotted with a major historical legacy, breathtaking landscapes, and a benign climate year-round. Ayacucho is considered to be Peru's arts and crafts capital. The department features 59 types of artisanry. There is no place like Ayacucho for appreciating an artistic tradition that is a true reflection of cultural life that is redolent throughout the region. In the works of each of these artisans, one can find a wide range of cultural expressions, with religion playing a leading role. Another example of this living cultural tradition is the architecture to be found in the city of Huamanga, where more than 30 colonial churches are the reflection of a deep-rooted cultural fusion in the spirituality of the Ayacucho people. Similarly, Ayacucho's colonial mansions are a classic example of sober and harmonic civil architecture. Ayacucho is a region teeming with great historic wealth. Its tourist circuits turn to light evidence of great pre-Hispanic past, such as the Wari ruins and the Inca palace of Vilcas Huaman. Another attractive circuit is the Pampa de Ayacucho Plain in the community of Quinoa. This plain was the scene of the Battle of Ayacucho, which was to prove a decisive victory in Latin America's struggle for independence. Quinoa is a typical Andean village, inhabited by talented potters whose work is widely hailed for its originality and creative touches. Quinoa is also well known for its bustling Sunday fair, where villagers and farmers trade crops and arts and crafts. Ayacucho is easy to get to through the Ruta de los Libertadores road that links the South Pan American Highway near Pisco with Huamanga. The route takes drivers through some spectacular scenery. Ayacucho offers a well-established hotel infrastructure and private homes which offer lodging to be able to handle an increase in tourists. Ayacucho's gastronomy is another quality that makes the region stand out. The best-known dishes feature hapchi and the spicy puca picante. The dozens of festivals year-round in the region and its traditional celebrations are the reflection of an energetic people who now live in safety and look to the future with optimism while striving to offer their best to tourists. For all this and more, Ayacucho is a special place that deserves to be visited all year round.
For more than 4 centuries, soil, climate, agriculture, and history combined to cause grapevines to adapt to this ancient, promise-filled land. The outcome was something entirely Peruvian, pisco, known internationally for its quality and originality. Pisco, a grape alcoholic spirit, is a miracle from Peru's deserts and coastal valleys, derived from a mix of Indian and Spanish heritage. It is a mix of aroma and taste without equal, which Peruvians have created and for which they are recognized worldwide. To talk about Pisco is to talk about Peru. The process of making Pisco begins each year with a wine harvest festival celebrated during the months of February and March. To make pure Pisco, the grapes that are mainly used are the Molar, the common black, and Quebranta varieties, all typically Peruvian. Fragrant or aromatic Pisco is made from the Italy and Moscatel varieties. The grapes that are harvested for wines and Pisco are taken to the winery where the grapes are mashed in the traditional way by foot. Or on the other hand, the grapes go to modern processing facilities such as in the Hacienda Vista Alegre, where advanced technology and quality control assure an excellent product. The juice or mash extracted from the grapes is put into huge tanks where specialized technicians carefully follow the fermentation process. Unlike grape spirits prepared in other countries, Pisco is the result of distilled fresh mash used for Pisco alone, and not from wines or mash that have been previously fermented. Once the fermentation process is finished, the mash is placed into large clay jars to make traditionally made Pisco and into casks for factory-made Pisco. In either case, heat is applied to bring the juice to a boil. This produces an alcoholic steam which passes through a pipe system submerged in cold water. The change in temperature condenses the steam into droplets of pure Pisco. It is important to point out that the process occurs in stop-and-go stills and not in continuous stills used in other countries, which eliminates many of the elements of true Pisco. After distillation, the alcohol content is never reduced by adding water. Once distilled, the Pisco is bottled and placed in the most demanding markets in Peru and abroad. Pisco is a Quechua word. In the rich, sonorous language of the Inca, Pisco means bird. Spanish chroniclers tell of the Inca who conquered the region that he called the local inhabitants Piscos, as he associated them to an area densely populated with seabirds. The natives, the Piscos, made clay pots and cone-shaped jars known as piscos, which were used to store chicha and other spirits. When the Spaniards planted their vineyards, they used the natives to make the jars, and the name passed to the grape spirit and later to the port from which it was shipped. port of Pisco appears on maps of Peru since the end of the 16th century. The manufacturing of jars, wines, and spirits began before 1560 and became the mainstay of the middle southern coast economy. In 1630, from the port of Pisco alone, Peru exported about 20 million liters of spirits. The major Pisco producing centers in the area are Chincha, Pisco, Ica, and Nazca, each surrounded by rolling coastal sand dunes formed by alluvial deposits. These gentle slopes are very porous and permeable to water. The sandy soil radiates intense heat refracted from solar rays which increase the amount of glucose in plants, a factor that favors the manufacturing of fine wines and piscos. Thanks to the drive of visionary businessmen, the entire area has become an important attraction for national and international tourists. Today, it is possible to go overland from Lima in rapid modern buses which arrive at their destination after a comfortable, pleasant trip. Fine hotels, such as Las Dunas in Ica or the Mason at Huacachina Lagoon, allows the visitor to enjoy the extraordinary regional climate and throw off the stress of city living. The San Jose Hacienda merits a special mention. It is located at kilometer 205 on the southern section of the Pan American Highway in the Carmen district of Chincha Valley. The hacienda was founded by Jesuit priests in 1698, and according to early chroniclers, was one of the most important in the epic of the Viceroyalty. Today, a hostel with accommodations of 70 people, San Jose retains all the class and style of its epic. For all these reasons, the area has become an important magnet for investment by Peruvians and from those abroad. Vineyards and pisco manufacturing are concentrated mainly along the coastal strip stretching from the Pativilco River Valley, some 200 kilometers north of Lima, to the Caplin Valley in Tacna, some 1,300 kilometers south of the capital. Peru produces 4 kinds of pisco. Pure pisco, made from non-fragrant grape varieties, such as the Quebranta, Molar, and common black grapes. Aromatic piscos made from Muscatel, Italy, or the Albila variety. Green mash pisco, attained by distilling the grape brew that has not been completely fermented. And pisco acholao, a mix of brews of different grape varieties. Produced for the domestic market only are a variety of fragrant piscos, which after distilling are bottled with previously marinated fruits such as figs, mangoes, cherries, lemons, chirimoya, peach, and the damask apricots. Like any good spirit, pisco is recognized by its taste and fragrance, but the quality of this typical Peruvian product can also be determined by a surefire test known as the rope and rose test. When a bottle of quality pisco is spun in circles, a column of bubbles forms inside the bottle, and when they gather together in the center of the bottle, the bubbles resemble a rose. Pisco's high quality has won important international competitions. It sailed at the first World Exposition in London in 1862 and the Paris Exposition in 1867, where Napoleon III tasted and praised the Muscatel variety, are part of the Pisco legend. Pisco, by far and away, was the drink of preference in San Francisco in the closing decades of the last century. Since then, Pisco Punch has been considered the creme de la creme of drinks. In his book, From Sea to Sea, Rudyard Kipling describes Pisco as the century's finest and most noble product. Today, this Peruvian product without par is used in many drinks, including, of course, the world-famous Pisco Sour. Pisco is also used in a variety of products, such as baby pork, baked with fruits and pisco, served at the El Signorio del Sulco restaurant. At the prestigious Helen Chocolates, delicious bonbons are filled with pisco-soaked raisins, which are enjoyed with great pleasure. For all of these reasons, Peruvians consider Pisco to be one of their country's most important symbols. More than 4 centuries ago, it emerged from clay jars and wooden casks, ceased to imitate European wines, and produced a new taste, a new name, and gained undeniable fame. That is how Pisco was born, and linked by name and fame to the land that gave its birth, Peru.
Everywhere, Machu Picchu is the symbol of Peru. The lost citadel of the Incas, located a few miles north of Cusco, was discovered in 1911 by the American scholar Hiram Bingham. Its mysterious architecture and overwhelming beauty are reminders of the past splendor of the fabulous Inca Empire. Peru, however, is more than Machu Picchu and Incas. Other peoples and other cultures live and have lived in this beautiful territory, where the foothills of the high Andean peaks are bathed by the Pacific Ocean. "400 miles north of Lima, the Peruvian capital, lies Trujillo. This delightful city, founded by the conquistador Francisco Pizarro, still preserves its colonial past. On the outskirts of Trujillo, we find vestiges of an ancient past, more ancient even than the Incas. The city of Chan Chan, capital of the Chimu Kingdom, created by the mythical king Taikanamo, was the religious and administrative center of this culture, which flourished between the 12th and 16th centuries. With its 10 square miles, around half the area of the island of Manhattan, Chan Chan was in its time one of the biggest cities in the world. Its long, wide avenues, ornamental and ceremonial plazas, gardens, temples, public buildings and houses were all highly decorated. Without doubt, fishing was one of the most important activities for this people, just as it is for the coast's inhabitants today. Each morning, just as in the past, fishermen gallop across the sea in fragile boats of tightly bundled tortura reeds called caballitos, little horses. Another culture grew up in the same coast some centuries earlier. The Mochicas were equally adept at construction and adobe. This entire pyramid, 48 meters in height, the Temple of the Sun, was built in adobe brick. It has been estimated that to build this pyramid, the highest in the Americas, something like 140 million adobes were used. And according to the chronicler Calancha, 200,000 men took part in its construction. Scarcely half a mile away stands the Temple of the Moon, where it's thought that the most important political decisions were taken. Recent excavations here have uncovered a frieze of repeated images of an important divinity. Given the name throat slitter by historians, he appears to have been inherited by successive cultures as a sort of master of sacrificial ceremonies. The empire grew as the Mochicans conquered various valleys of the northern coast, acquiring great power and riches. The governmental elite lived in great pomp and luxury. Proof of this was provided by the discovery of the tomb of the Lord of Sipan, made by the Peruvian archaeologist Walter Alva, who revealed the site to the world in 1987. Archaeologists and historians compare the remains with those found in the tomb of Tutankhamun. The Mochicas worked in gold, silver, and copper. The sheets of gold were hammered and polished and then molded to achieve the desired effect. Ear decorations, crowns, and magic religious figures were worked in gold, silver, and gold-plated copper. These amazing archaeological finds indicate that the Mochicas were fundamentally a warrior culture. Confirmation of this was brought to light thanks to the studies promoted by the Augusto N. Vice Foundation, which has been working since 1990 in the archaeological complex named El Brujo in the Chicama Valley. The murals of El Brujo, some of actual size, show prisoners of war and scenes of combat. The throat slitter makes an appearance dangling his sacrificial victims. Perhaps it was Mochican holy men who painted the murals to magical ends. The archaeological remains of this region in the north of Peru hide numerous secrets that are slowly being revealed by the patient work of a small circle of scientists. Since 1978, and under the auspices of the Peabody Museum of the University of Harvard, the Japanese archaeologist Isumi Shamada has made valuable discoveries, including in Sikan, the tomb of a powerful ruler of the Lambayeki culture, whose temple pyramids still tower above the Aragabina forests by Barran Grande. Here in Tukame, the Norwegian Thor Heyerdahl is studying another site of the Lambayeki culture. The pyramids here are more closely integrated than at Sikan. On the biggest of these, an Inca dwelling has been discovered atop the older Lambayeki temple, complete with the graves of 9 young women, killed together for some as yet unknown reason. A first glance at Lima reveals a modern city, happy and friendly, that lives at the intense rhythm of the present. Its beaches today are sites of sport and diversion, but they're also witnesses of a rich prehistoric past. Facing the sea, a little to the south of Lima, lie the ruins of the citadel of Pachacamac, an immensely important ceremonial center and oracle that for hundreds of years united in pilgrimage peoples and cultures of the different regions of ancient Peru. When the Incas conquered the tribes of the Lima Valley, they didn't subjugate the priests, but rather built their own places of worship amid the existing shrines. The Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Mamacanas, serving maidens given charge of religious ceremony. A little further up the valley, American archaeologist Richard Berger, professor of Yale University, has discovered even earlier sites at Mina Perdida and Cardao. His studies are still in their early stages, but these remains may be related to the Chavin culture, which held sway 2,500 years before the birth of Christ. What we have seen is just a small sample of the cultures that developed in Peru before the Incas. Without doubt, there's still much to discover. What is known, however, is more than enough to demonstrate the grandeur of the Indian civilization. In 1532, by means of a daring ambush, Francisco Pizarro captured the last of the Peruvian emperors. Yet in the heat of the battle, he was surprised to note the presence of another king, equal in grandeur to Atahualpa, the last ruler of the Incan Empire. Questioned about this other personage, the Inca replied, "He is the Lord of Chincha, who has 10,000 boats on the sea." In their expansion eastward, the Incas encountered a powerful nation with a sophisticated culture, the Chincha. These people were the inheritors of a long fight against the desert. Before them had lived here the Nazca, and still earlier, the people of Paracas. Paracas man, who lived here 7,000 years before Christ, is perhaps the forerunner of this civilization that developed between 1,500 years BC and 400 years AD. The most important remains of this culture have been found on the peninsula of Paracas. Today a national reserve, Paracas appears at first sight a barren desert. And, although it's true that the earth doesn't support much life, the sea, with rich abundance, sustains an incredibly rich ecosystem. National Reserve of Paracas. Refuge of birds and sea lions, is also, for modern man, a place of fun and recreation. In native language, Paracas signified rain of sand. In the late afternoon, the sea breeze lets loose with ferocious force, breaking the peace of the sands. Against the wind and against the aridity of the desert, the men who lived here were obliged to hide part of their life below the surface. And there it remained hidden until 1925. When Peruvian archaeologist Julio Ceteo discovered the existence of a marvelous culture that he called Paracas. The discovery of large burial grounds at Cerro Colorado confirmed for this ex-alumni of Harvard the importance they had given to their dead. Luckily for us, for they interred their corpses wrapped in as many as 8 mantas or shrouds of the most exquisite quality and color. Remarkably intact, despite the time that's passed since their burial. Paracas built stone cities in the sand and also constructed seemingly fortified towns that dominated the fertile valleys. Nevertheless, this culture gradually gave way to an emergent philosophy centered on Nazca to the south of their territory. The monotony of the Nazca Pampa is broken by gigantic drawings in the sand, forming the biggest astronomic calendar in the world.